So, our main event for today. Draymond Green, four-time NBA champion, going up against Jordan Poole, one-time NBA champion. we're gonna break this down. We're gonna break this down into layers, and then we're gonna watch a video of it. Hopefully, TMZ doesn't strike us down with copyright. But goddamn it, we're gonna show it. All right. When you first heard that there was an altercation at practice between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole, what was your first thoughts?
Oh, pretty much that Draymond's known to be a bit of a hothead. I thought maybe Jordan Poole was feeling more confident in his position and what he did in the team. So maybe he's getting a little more chatty. And Draymond didn't like it. And that's what I figured happened. These things aren't rare to happen. The Heat have it happen a lot when you have guys like Draymond Green, Jimmy Butler, Russell Westbrook. And I'm not even saying Westbrook's known to be having altercations. I'm just saying when you have guys who are intense individuals and they expect the most out of people and they present the most of themselves, usually there's a lot of them that are hot-headed, and we know Draymond's a lot like that.
Yeah. My first reaction was I was shocked because it was those two. I wasn't shocked because it was teammates. Teammates fight all the time. So the fact that it was those two, because as I told you offline, Jordan Poole was Draymond Green's rookie a couple of years ago, and I've seen those two in interviews together talk about how much they like each other and jive with each other and things of that nature. That was the most shocking aspect to me. Then the second aspect was, okay, you guys are just coming off a championship. Like, what the fuck is going on, right? So, the Warriors did damage control, tried to sweep it under the rug. And then the very next day, the video dropped. So I'm going to ask you again. What was your first reaction to the video?
I was like in shock. I was like, oh my God. And then I immediately started thinking about interesting people for Draymond to box. I was thinking there's Jake Paul. He could get some credit back to the basketball community because Nate Robinson got murdered.
Right.
Okay. I was just like, because he hit him so fast and so hard and so perfect. Dude, I was blown away. Everybody got up because it dropped Jordan Poole. And it was, I couldn't believe it. Oh, Meta World Peace, him and Draymond, that'd be fun. Because those two remind me of each other. I mean, I just was blown away. I thought maybe, it looked violent. It looked very violent. And, you watch the video, you watch the build-up, and Draymond gets closer and closer. Yes. And he has his arms down, he's just walking, and he gets closer, and then, you see Jordan Poole say something kind of, and, they're next to each other, and then Draymond just out of nowhere, dude, straight sticks him in the mouth, knocks him down.
I know by now everyone's seen the video, but we are going to play it here for the few people who haven't seen the video. I am going to play it because to me, it is absolutely fascinating. Now, there's no sound, but we just need to watch it. So here's Jordan Poole here, I believe. So let me go ahead and hit play. Yeah, this is Jordan Poole here. So
Draymond,
I wish there could have been sound so we could hear exactly what the back and forth was. But Draymond's rocking. He's holding his shorts. Poole's kind of rocking a little bit too, but he's looking off to the side. But here comes Draymond creeping over. It's like, young man, you have to know your surroundings. Now, Poole did push him first, and then God.
Yeah.
It was a thing. That was a punch throw. That was a thing of beauty.
Now maybe it wouldn't have happened if Poole didn't shove him.
Right. But a man has the right to defend his personal space too. So there's levels to this. It's multiple levels. Because if I get in your face, I'm pretty sure you might push me off, kind of hit me with an elbow or something like that, right?
Yeah, but then you can't. Then look, if you do that, you have to be ready to defend yourself for what happened right after.
Right. He shouldn't have dropped his hand. So what that tells me, and I know a little bit about Jordan Poole's background. I don't know how many scuffles he's been. I don't know how many scuffles he's been in. But I can tell Draymond Green's been in some scuffles because that was a beautiful right cross. You hear me? Absolutely beautiful. Now, YouTube, I know how y'all is. Sorry, the punch was beautiful. We don't condone violence on the Hardwood Nation podcast, but from an artistic standpoint, the punch was beautiful. Okay. Do you think the Golden State Warriors should suspend Draymond Green?
Yeah, I think they have to because the video got out. Maybe otherwise, you still. I still think you have to. You have to say something. Like you have to do something because you can't just let people punch other players. You can't.
Right.
Without some kind of consequence.
Right.
Let the guys deal with it themselves. Maybe even make it like a dumb little slap on the wrist. But you have to respond in some way if you're the team. I feel like you have to. So, but I mean, it blew me away. Like you can't. Draymond dropped the guy. I mean, you can't not suspend him at least a little bit. And the video leaking was like the worst thing for Draymond Green. I think they'll be all. I think they're gonna be okay. Maybe I don't know. You know, like disagreements and squabbles are one thing, but looking across and seeing like your center power forward smiling like in a game or something, and knowing that he knocked you out, I don't know if you can get back from getting knocked out. I don't know. Okay, I don't know like if he went out, but it dropped him.
He dropped him. Yeah,
He got knocked out. So like that's different. That like you might not be able to be friends or teammates after that. You might. Yeah, I mean you can for sure. It depends how Poole and Green deal with it. But your point guard and your center like are now not on the same page.
So I'm a little older. You have to protect the youngins. Okay. Now, I know sometimes the youngins can get out of hand, and sometimes you got to put your hands to them. I get it. Got to jack them up a little bit. But at the end of the day, you still have to protect the youngins. Now, there was a report that Jordan Poole was feeling himself a little bit and whatnot, winning the championship at such a young age, getting in line for a contract extension. Draymond himself said yesterday that wasn't the case. And some other Warriors actually stood up for Green. Stephen Curry and Iguodala said, yeah, that wasn't the case. Green has been exceptional. So, forgive me, Poole has been exceptional during training camp. But something happened. Now, yesterday, I sent you a couple of things. Draymond said he wasn't in a good place. He got in front of the cameras, and he absolutely owned it. Okay? Yeah. I will give you this quote from Draymond. He says, I want to give Jordan space. I didn't get much from Jordan. I didn't expect much, and I didn't try to get much. So he's pretty much saying for right now, he's going to leave the kid alone. Now, Draymond has said, okay, the Warriors formally haven't announced any suspension for Draymond Green. They said it's going to happen internally. Draymond said he's going to step away from the team for a few days. Let me be clear on this. Draymond Green is suspended. They're just doing damage control, and he's just owning what he did. So him saying that he's going to step away from the team for a few days is effectively him being suspended. So the Warriors are pretty much like, you did it, you go out there, you own it, and Draymond did that yesterday. Now, my next question for you. How angry would you be if you're the Warriors that this video leaked out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'd be pretty annoyed because you definitely want to keep that stuff in-house. Like, it's just, it raises questions as to, like, how strong the organization is, obviously. Right. And, it's probably not going to matter in the in the scheme of the season long term. It could, but the Warriors have a lot of good things going on over there from the management standpoint down to the players. So I do think they will handle it correctly. But yeah, I mean, if you're running the show or if you're a part of that team over there, you don't want things like this leaking out. And it's probably a disappointment that someone as close to them, that's in there with a practice like that someone in that situation leaked it. So that, they're probably questioning some of the people they might have in there right now in terms of how much they can really trust them. But in terms of like the overall tone of the team, like I think they're going to be fine. I don't think any team wants those kind of things to leak out. You know what I mean? I'm sure they're more common than we know. For all we know, the Boston Celtics situation could have been that bad. We just know that they had meetings, so we don't know. But yeah, you don't want that. You don't want the video footage of two of your starters getting out fighting. If people hear about it, that's one thing. But seeing Draymond throw haymakers, knocking people out, seeing it is a very different thing.
That's a hell of a punch, man. That's a hell of a punch. I don't talk about my dad often on this podcast, but my dad was an amateur boxer when he was younger. I gotta ask him if he saw that punch, man, because my dad probably would have loved that. My dad would have loved that punch. Last thing before we wrap up this week, both Poole, Draymond, and Andrew Wiggins are in line for extensions this offseason. I think it's time for the Warriors to start getting even more young than they are now, because they do have some young pieces there. Even before this incident, I think it's time for them to move on from Draymond Green. What do you think? Because they will not be able to pay everyone. Like they're way over tax payroll.
I think they're going to try first and foremost to try to have a conversation with Draymond. It might be time for more deals to be worked out, because Draymond has to ask himself, one, what kind of value does he have outside the Warriors? And the Warriors have to ask themselves truly how important Draymond is to them. Because I don't believe Wiggins or Poole, what they bring to the table, replaces what Draymond was. I think there's very few people that can come in and just be what he was and work in that system, because I feel like a lot of their success is Draymond being the right, like, other piece of that triangle, like, in a sense. So you have Steph and Clay, who are generational at doing what they do, some of the best three-point shooters, if not the two best three-point shooters we may have ever seen. But then you have a guy like Draymond who does everything else that they need. It's almost like a Dennis Rodman with the Bulls situation, and in a way, it's like the Bulls were going to be successful, but then they were successful, obviously, but then they came in, they had a guy just come in and do his role perfectly, and that's what I mean by it. So, like, Draymond has his role perfectly down in Golden State with the team around him, but can he be as useful in other teams and other situations, and can Golden State replace him and still run things the way they're used to running it? I would argue this, like, replacing Draymond on Golden State would be harder than replacing Kevin Durant, because they've played so long a specific way. You could almost bring in another player and have them score the way Durant scored, and that'd be easier than replacing everything else that Draymond Green does and knowing their role. It's like he's always known he's important there, but he knows he's not a scorer. He knows he's not the biggest guy on the court. Like, it's all hustle and it's all heart and it's all buying into the program. So it's like, but can he have value someplace else that may not know may not use him the right way, may not have the pieces around him to use him the right way? So if he's not careful, I could see him not being in the league all that long if he's not in Golden State.
Right.
And also, Golden State could undervalue him in a sense to where they think they're going to be okay without him, and they very well could be. And, you always want to go younger, but, like, how much does he bring to that team in terms of, like, swagger, team continuity? keeping people, holding people accountable. Like kind of like the Marcus Smart of that team. It's like we talked about Boston. If they get rid of Marcus Smart, what will that do to the overall continuity and tone of that team? And Draymond carries with him a lot on that team. So I'd be worried about both if they part ways.
Yeah, I do see one landing spot for Draymond. The money might not be right because I'm not sure if they're capped out or not. But let's just say Philly flames out this year. PJ Tucker retires. Draymond could slide right into that role and play alongside of Embiid. So yeah, I could see Philly, but that's literally maybe Miami, but we're capped out, so I don't think he'll come there on a vet minimum contract. But Philly, I could definitely see, and that's like Philly is like the best fit I see for Draymond, and maybe Memphis, but outside of that, those teams are all those teams are capped out, so they couldn't give him a big contract. So you're right, Draymond Green could find himself out of the league if the Golden State Warriors decide to move on, which I think they might. So
or like you said, he's just gonna have to take a vet minimum.